is Chelsea. I am the product marketing manager at Covet Fashion. I'm super excited that all of you guys have tuned in for this. I think this is the best way to kick off our Covet Fashion Week by none other than introducing a brand new brand, Sai Sanko, which we are incredibly excited to meet, to see in game, to learn a little bit more about her. So let me kind of go through what to expect for today. So we'll do welcomes. I'll let Sai introduce herself and you guys can learn a little bit more about her. We'll also get an inside peek into our Covet Art team. So we'll be talking to Didi, Mimi, and Rick, who will give us kind of an overview of the process of onboarding a new brand into the game. So I think this is the perfect chance to see from Sai's perspective to actually in game of how we bring these garments to life. We'll also have an opportunity to do Q&A, and then we'll do a wrap up. So I'll kick it off first by introducing Sai, but without further ado, for our webinar folks, I should mention this, please feel free to use the chat. We want to hear from you guys. If you find something interesting, let us know. And you can also use the Q&A feature, so you can submit your questions that we'll answer later on in the session. So hope you guys are excited as we are, and we'll get started with learning a little bit about Sai. Sai, do you want to say hi to folks and where you're tuning in from?
Hi guys, how are you guys doing? Thank you so much for taking time out of your precious day to join us here today. It's a party, I'm tuning in from Dallas, Texas, and it is awesome weather out here, and I hope the weather is fabulous wherever you guys are right now.
Awesome. So glad to have you here. By the way, you look stunning, very on brand to the imagery that we're going to show the folks. I am jealous. I should have worn more color.
You look beautiful. Thank you, Chelsea. This has been so wonderful. Thank you, Didi. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, everybody. I mean, this has been an incredible opportunity, and I'm just so excited to be on here.
Oh, yay. Awesome. So I think I want to kick it off a little bit about kind of giving everyone an overview of like how you found your way into the fashion industry, because I think some folks may not be super familiar with you. So I'd love to get a little bit of background on you.
Okay, so hi guys. Once again, my name is Sai Sanko, and I started fashion blogging actually about 10 years ago when it was really fun and cool and hip. And during that time, I was doing personal style blogging, and then I sort of went into red carpet celebrity style blogging, which was fun. It was awesome. I loved seeing all the cool gowns from the Grammys, like award season. It was just fantastic. So one of the things that I really wanted was like, on the runway, you see these incredible pieces, but then sometimes like, when you look for them in the stores, it's really hard to get. And I just love like, seeing the garments, flowing down the runway, and I just wasn't getting that. So with whatever I've learned from like blogging, a couple of years ago, I decided to venture out on my own and start my namesake brand, Sai Sanko. So that's how I started. But prior to that, I was just, like a fun nurse and a fashion blogger turned designer now.
That's incredible. Have you always had a love for fashion? Did that start at an early age, or was that something that you kind of grew into?
I definitely think I grew into it because I was a complete tomboy.
Really?
Yes, I was. I used to love playing soccer in the rain. I grew up in Sierra Leone, West Africa. And I was a total tomboy. And so I think, in my teen years, it's when I really started exploring fashion. And being from where I'm from, Africa, like, that's not really a career. Fashion is not a career. So you either have to be a nurse, a doctor, or a lawyer, Yeah. So after I went to school, and made sure my mom was happy, but I also love nursing, obviously, Then I decided to really venture out more on my own of doing what I also really loved and I was passionate about too.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so inspiring to see the full kind of transition that you've done. And I mean, just looking at your newest collection, Portrait of a Lady, I think anybody can look at the imagery and just be like, wow, the colors, the prints, everything. I'd love to kind of get your perspective about what inspired this new collection and just learn a little bit more about it.
Okay, so the initial collection was actually called A Tourist in Tuscany. And it was supposed to be shot in Italy, you know, because since I do resort wear, I love to travel and go to exotic places to shoot my collection. And then obviously, you know, the pandemic happened. So we had to change everything around. This was supposed to have been shot in March and we were not able to. So luckily, unfortunately for me, I have a lot of good friends in the creative industry. And so we came together and did this whole photo shoot in the living room in my house, you know. But we were the prints were inspired by Italy. And, you know, everything I do goes back to being where I'm from, my upbringing, Sierra Leone. It's just such a colorful and lively city. And so I'm always going to have that in my designs and my prints because I just think colors make me happy, you know? So, yeah, so that was my inspiration for sure.
What a pivot. That's a huge, I cannot believe that. I mean, 'tis the times, I guess, but that's incredible. I guess kind of building off of that, and we can kind of show more pieces. I mean, we can all just take a step back and soak in all of this fierce prints and colors here. How did you stay motivated during this time? I mean, you had to completely change all of your plans. So I'd love to know how you stayed motivated and inspired for this collection.
So initially it wasn't easy because, you know, once again, it was supposed to be in March. We had everything with a photographer, videographer, everything set up, you know, and so we're like, okay, well, this might just be a couple of weeks. So let's just kind of hang on, you know?
Yeah.
And so the first month, it was like, okay, well, this is not ending anytime soon. And then like most of us, I believe, we all got into the plant mom thing. So I became a plant mom, you know. So once I was doing that, I was like, hey, you know what? Like, let me just transform my backyard and make that into a little resort space that I could actually wear my clothing, you know? And so for me doing that, it also let my, you know, my customers also say, hey, you know what? We're going through a pandemic. Some of us don't have to go to work, but we still want to be glamorous and we still want to be fabulous at home. And so I had ladies like wearing fabulous caftans, taking out the trash, you know, just sitting there. It was just incredible. I loved it.
That's fabulous. I wish I was staying at home when all that was going on in your area. I've been in PJs lately, so I need some of that fierceness to come out.
We're
that's so cool.
Captains right away. Don't worry.
Oh, good. I guess too, just obviously with all of the change going on right now, Fashion Week looks super different than it has in the past. How do you think fashion is going to change, whether it's Fashion Week or just fashion in general, in the future?
Well, since everything, is really solely based online right now, it's you basically have to be a little bit more creative, you know, and because every plan has changed. You know, my plans were to do pop-up shops where I meet, you know, my customers, you know, because I love the feedback I get from them. You know what I mean? Like, I believe like this third collection that I did, like it was more of a collaboration between me and my customers, you know, and all the people that follow my, you know, my journey. And so I really wanted to take the time to go meet them in person, speak to them. But now that we're unable to, you know, it's more thankfully social media, you know, Instagram and Facebook, you know, but also on the production part of things, it's definitely slowed things down. You know, the factories were closed for like many, many months. You know what I mean? And so it's like now instead of me doing my normal 2 collections per year, I'm probably going to end up doing only 1 because it's just not all the stuff are getting in, but luckily they're getting in. So it's just really affected a lot of businesses. And, you know, I've been in the United States since I was 15. And so I'm seeing all the stores that I grew up loving shutting down because of this, you know?
Yeah.
But once again, I think just more so moving towards the social media aspect of things and more interaction online is the only way we can, you know, overcome this as a business, especially as a new and a small business like mine.
Totally. I think it is hard to see all of our favorite stores closing and seeing the negative change, but I think also there's such an opportunity for companies and brands to level up and kind of find new ways like you're saying around whether it's social media or just digital branding. So it's really cool to see how you pivoted, especially with this latest collection. I
Thank
think,
you so much.
yeah, of course. I think also we want to know, what are you most excited for or about with the partnership with Covet? Because I know all of us on our side, we're ecstatic to style with your pieces, but we'd love to hear from you about what you're most excited about.
So when we first connected, like, I was trying to play it cool, but of course, like I freaked out, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just act like it's, like everything is just normal. But I mean, this is a big deal for me because I love technology, you know what I mean? I love our technology and the fact that like we're mixing technology and fashion into this fun, fun game. It's incredible, you know what I mean? And a lot of people that follow me, also fashion bloggers, they're into style, and they're into design. And so it's a great opportunity for people to like mix and match, for stylists to say, hey, okay, well, this goes with this, and this works well together. So I mean, it's just an incredible opportunity for my brand, and I'm so thankful and pleased to be on here.
Awesome. Well, we're ecstatic to have you on board. I think all of us can attest to that. I think what I want to do now that we've got to know a little bit more about you, is hand it off to our art team to kind of give us a behind the scenes look at how we got your pieces in game. So I'll actually let Dee Dee, our content director, introduce herself and the rest of the team.
Wow, it's hard to follow Sai. It's our incredible journey and story, but I'll try. Hi, everyone. I'm Dee Dee. I am the director of content and brands for Covet Fashion, and I want to take you after talking about Sai's incredible career and also this beautiful collection. We want to show folks here a journey of how these gets into Covet Fashion. So on the production side, just a very brief overview. We have a 4-step process, a 4-phase of the production process to bring Sai's beautiful collection into Covet Fashion. We start with all the assets that we get from Sai, all the photo shoots for a product that, very high-res images where we can start using as a reference to rendered art pieces. And then we get into the art production, in which we have about 16 artists working around the clock to get these pieces in the game. And I'll let Rick and Mimi later on from the art team to have a more in-depth walk through how this rendering process starts and end. But then after the art productions, we go into approvals. In this case, we'll send all of these renderings to Sai, making sure that she's happy with how we represent her pieces in the 2D environment. And then from there, we have a team of 9 people who look over, get all the assets in the game, in the app, and then also to style, make sure all the layering is working correctly before we send them out to everybody to play with. So this is just a very simple overview of this whole process. It usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks, but it also could extend to a month because of so many hands are in this whole process. But I think the most interesting thing is the art. So I'll hand it over to Mimi and Rick to talk about more in depth about how this comes to life.
Sure. Thank you, Dee Dee, and thank you, Sai, for joining us and regaling us with that amazing story of yours. My name's Rick. I'm the lead artist on Covet Fashion. I manage the art team in San Francisco, as well as oversight of all the garments and events and other artwork that go into the game. And with me today is one of our all-star artists, Mimi, who you might have seen her recent work, although she does touch many aspects of the game. But she was the recent artist who did the Hanfu garment that you might see in game, which is the Asian-inspired robe with the floating veil, which is a knockout piece of artwork in the game. So thanks so much for that, Mimi. And just to add a little color to what Dee Dee was saying, we are a 2-studio family. We are working around the clock because we are here in San Francisco with our core art team, and we have a big art team in Hyderabad in India, where a lot of the garment production is actually produced. And together, that team membership is how we produce these garments and put them into the game. So from there, I'm going to toss it over to Mimi and have her walk us through the steps of how one of Sai's beautiful garments becomes a piece of artwork in the game for all players.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Mimi, and let's get started. So as Dee Dee mentioned before, we always start out by really studying the reference photo of the garment that we're trying to make, because one of the biggest challenges in this phase is figuring out how these real-world clothing is going to fit on an in-game avatar. So we would really study the reference, and for example, for the reference that's on screen right now, I would probably make note of some key stylistic elements, such as how the dress is shorter in the front, longer in the back, and how there's some cutout wedges along the rib cage. And after that, I would make note of like what makes this really look like a Sai Sanko garment. And in my opinion, that would be like the voluminous flowing drapery and also that really vivid and bright yellow color. So as Rick mentioned, our team in Hyderabad will deliver us the first pass render of the garment. And the way they do that is they're primarily pulling from photo elements and then using hand painting techniques to clean up or fill in any missing details. A big challenge in this phase is deciding when and where to edit. Because we use so many photo elements, the photo quality gives a certain like randomness to the clothing that we render that can make the garments look really photoreal. But at the same time, if we're not editing, it could also make the details look too busy. In this case, I think maybe a little bit too much editing was going on because I feel like we're kind of losing some volume and we're also losing that flowing drapery that's seen in the original reference image. And I would also say maybe the color's looking a little bit too dark, and especially in the shadow areas, it's looking a little bit too dull. So the way we provide feedback is we would draw directly on top of the first pass render. And we make a lot of use of line work to show construction of the skirt. Like in this example, we're trying to bring back that volume and we're trying to bring back those multiple layers of drapery. And then the little sun and arrow icon on the upper right-hand corner, it represents increasing the strength of the light source. And in doing that, it will really make the highlights pop and it'll really deepen the shadows and cast more shadows. So with that, we kind of come up with our final render, and I think it looks really beautiful. I think it looks a lot closer to the reference image. The colors are popping, that drapery is there, and I think it stays true to the the original reference. And there you have it.
That's actually one of the things that we're so trying to key into is making sure that each garment stays true, as Mimi is saying, to the brand and the designer. Because every designer, every brand brings their own sort of signature to those dresses, and we want to make sure that we are capturing that. So it is definitely a team effort to go through these multiple steps, review those different details, source different images with a combination of photo manipulation and actual painting artwork to get the final output that we have here.
This is incredible. Thank you both, Rick and Mimi and Dee Dee, to kind of give us an overview of what this looks like. I also want to share a couple of more looks from Sai Sanko that our team has put together. I think this is incredible. I know I cannot wait to start styling with these pieces. So thank you guys so much for giving us some insight into that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Mimi.
It's awesome to see. I think we all, I know I'll speak for myself, take for granted how much work actually goes into these pieces. And to Dee Dee's point, how many different hands are on the garment through the whole process. So it's really cool to take a piece like that and see it through in a highlight reel. I'm sure there's even more iterations and more sketches and everything else that we didn't see behind the scenes, but that was super cool. Wow. Okay. So for people who are tuned into our webinar, please feel free to submit your question. We'll open it up to both Sai and to the rest of the art team here. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to submit your question, and I will look through and start to tackle some of them. I see we have a lot coming in. So let's get started on some Q&A. First question is for Sai. What would you forecast the trends in fashion will be for 2021? Maybe just in general, or it may be something you're looking forward to personally?
I believe a lot of it is going to be resort wear style and a lot of florals. The reason I'm saying that is like people did not get the chance to really travel as they wanted to this year. So I feel like next year, a lot of like designers are going to focus more on like looks that people can travel with, you know, to make up for them not traveling as much this year, you know?
No, totally. I think everyone has vacation on their minds. So I think we'll definitely, if you're getting out of your leisure wear, your sweats, you want the resort flowy, colorful, island inspired pieces. So I definitely agree with you there. We had another question for the art team. Do you guys use several reference images for each garment, or do you base it off of one campaign imagery?
Mimi, I'll jump in, and if you have anything to add, please feel free. Most of the time we have one image from the campaign per garment. Sometimes we have multiple ones, which is usually a great jumping off point for us. We can get a lot of information just from that one very clean, clear, crisp photo shoot image. And if we have to and we need more information, we'll start sourcing things from offline, from different online stores that are carrying those garments, from the website of the actual brand, and see if we can get any other additional angles for information for that garment. But it's, you know, in this current time, as we know, photo shoots have been more and more difficult to come by. I super respect what Sai has been doing in light of all that sort of stuff. But usually just, you know, one image is, suffices.
Awesome. I think I think pivot is a big word that I've continued to use and will continue to use for the rest of this year and possibly 2021. So no, I think that is super interesting. For Sai, a lot of people are asking us, where can they purchase your clothes? They want all these beautiful pieces in real life, not as well as in game. Do you want to give us a heads up of where they can purchase or check out your clothing in real life?
Yeah, for sure. Please visit my website. It's www.saisanko.com. Follow us on Instagram at Shop Sai Sanko. And we're in a few stores if you actually want to go to a physical location. We're in Iodumani, that's in Mexico. We're in Wild Instinct in Santa Fe. And we're on fashionbombdaily.com. And many more to come the following year. But for right now, yeah, you could definitely stop by my website. And we have a lot of fun pieces, like a lot more than this in stock.
Awesome. So everyone, you know where to go after this webinar. Check out Sai Sanko website. Kind of going back to your collection that you talked about, do you have a favorite piece that you created within the collection?
Oh my God. I play favorites all the time. I don't know if I want to do that. I would say I'll pick two, you know. Oh my God. Okay, the Areta cape, I really, really love that because I just love that yellow. You know, I just thought it was so dramatic. And when I was coming up with it, I just thought like, you know, like of a Disney princess, you know? So that probably is my favorite. And then I love the Lorex caftans this season because once again, like I said, it was a collaboration between, you know, my customers and myself. Some people wanted solid colors, you know? And so we have this gorgeous Lorex caftans in like all those shades, like neon, green, and, you know, hot pink. So I think those are my favorite pieces, right? Just 5 seconds, but like maybe like in 2 minutes, you know, it'll be different.
I know I put you on the spot for that one. We'll definitely have to check in. It's hard to choose. I mean, just looking at the campaign imagery that you shared and just seeing the in-game renderings, it's really hard to pick a single one. So kind of for our art team specifically, we have a question for you guys, for Mimi and Rick. What is your favorite piece that you've worked on in-game? I know that is also hard. So take a few seconds to think on that. Mimi's like, oh no.
I'm going to toss this one to Mimi. I actually look at every single garment that comes through the art team. And I will say that when we got Sai's work, I was literally blown away with each one. It's like just scrolling through each of them is like, oh my God, just keeps getting better and better with each one of those garments. They're awesome. They're bold. They're beautiful. And I think they're going to make a really great splash in the game.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. That's me dodging the question too.
I get a bit on this one. But
Yeah.
I know you go with Sai Sanko, so it's okay. You don't have to answer.
The answer is obvious.
Yeah, when it comes to like working on brand clothing, I do tend to really like the very eye-catching ones. Like Sai Sanko's it's fun to work on because it's so bright and like there's a lot of movement in the garment, so there's a lot of like different shapes. But if it's like a Covet collection type one, I think I have to go with that moon goddess robe. It was a challenge, and I think I was really happy with the results.
Awesome.
Yeah, that one was really cool. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for answering my tough questions. Sorry to put you guys on the spot. We have another question for Sai. We have Karine who's asking, is the dress you're currently wearing from your collection as well? It looks gorgeous. Can we see more of it?
No, I'm not. It's actually a top I'm wearing, It has a lot of ruffles. It's something similar to what I will actually make, but God, I don't think I can stand up, but this is it.
Oh, it's beautiful. Wow.
Thank you.
I love all the ruffles. Well, thank you for showing us. It's beautiful. People are loving it on the chat. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to throw it back to our artists. We have a question from Courtney. What is the hardest piece to make digitally? So maybe it's a certain type of garment. We could keep it kind of big, whether it's tops, dresses, maybe some insight into that. Again, tough question.
I'm gonna let Mimi answer this one.
I definitely think things with very complex patterns can get pretty difficult. There are like little tricks here and there to like manipulate the photos to make like a little piece of pattern stretch a long way. But those are definitely more involved than like solid color or like solid texture type of clothing.
Awesome. Let's see what else. Working through these questions. One for Sai. We had a couple of questions around what are some of your favorite fabrics or materials to work with when designing?
I definitely love silks, and that's what we're moving a lot of the new collection towards. And I love lace. I love sheer lace. And so I'm working with a team to create our own custom lace. And so I would say those are two of my favorite ones. And, I'm going to travel back to the motherland and it's super hot there, And so like, I'm probably just going to wear bikinis and then just wear like a really cool lace, kaftan or shirt dress, over it. So definitely lace and silks are my favorite options right now,
Awesome. Oh, I can't wait to see more lace. That's incredible. Kind of building off of just the materials, do you have a favorite go-to print? I know I put you on the spot for the favorite new piece in the collection, but just visiting your website, you have an incredible collection of different types of prints. Is there one that you gravitate towards most or a couple that you want to name for us?
Yeah, so for sure. So my initial, my very, very first print, it's called the Khaleesi print. That's the one that I did. And that's one of the best sellers, but that was my very first one. And then the best-selling one, which like, Iman and like all this, like, like celebrities have worn, is the Nawara. So it's like it always just seems to go. And then the Algeria print is a green snakeskin, and that's the shirt dress like Beyonce's one. And so that's never, it's hardly in stock. As soon as I put it on, like it just, goes. So those three. And then also there's another one, the Zeta print. It's orange and white. And Gabrielle Union wore that as well. And people love that one. So, but my favorite, I guess just because it was my very first one, has to be the Khaleesi, And but I mean, I play favorites. I really love all of them. And like, customers try to put me in a tough spot. They're like, Sai, can you help me narrow it down? I'm like, no. I'm like, I can even decide on my own. That's why I have so many prints. You know what I mean?
No, that's awesome. I know you kind of mentioned a couple of celebrities or people that you've dressed. Do you have a particular celebrity or historical figure that you would love to see wearing your collection?
Wow. I love Rihanna. I think she's so fabulous and edgy, and I feel like she's the kind of person, she'd wear a trash bag and just make it look glamorous, So I love her. And then I would love to have Michelle Obama wear it as well, or Tracy Ellis Ross. I mean, I'm just really fortunate, like all the people like within the short period of time that have worn my stuff, But I love seeing the everyday woman and doing glamorous photo shoots in Sai Sanko. That means a lot to me, So.
Yeah, that's incredible. I am a huge Riri fan, so I would love to see Rihanna in your pieces as well. I think we have time for one more question or so. Again, for people that are tuned into the webinar, please make sure to submit your question in the Q&A feature. We'll try to get through as many as possible, but again, want to let people know you can utilize that. I know for me, looking at your collection, it just like oozes fierceness and confidence. Like the bold colors, the prints, I think there's something that's really incredible. Just even seeing it on someone else, I think it just really gives off that kind of vibe. What piece of clothing do you have that makes you feel most confident?
I would definitely say my kaftans, and like, for me, like, like my whole line was a little bit inspired by old Hollywood glamour, And so I love wearing bikinis and stuff like that. But when I wear like, my kaftan set with like a bikini underneath of it, it's just so elegant. Like I've been in Vegas and like I've seen like from like, young teenagers to like, older men or women compliments because it's just so elegant. So I feel really confident wearing my own pieces, and I live in them most of the time. So now I'm like, okay, maybe I need to chillax a little bit. But yeah, I think for sure it's just glamorous and it's elegant and it's very ladylike, So you can't go wrong in them.
Yeah. No, I love that about brands that kind of just build off of the body and just kind of give this confidence and regalness. And I think that there's something super special just about your collection. So I'm really excited for us to start styling within the game. But I think we have one last question. How did Sai switch from blogging to designing?
Oh, wow.
Loaded question, loaded last question, everyone.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, I mean, obviously, like, I was inspired a lot by when I was in the celebrity red carpet. And for me, blogging wasn't consistent income-wise, and I needed something that I was really like, I wanted to like express myself, like, artistically and creatively, and also create a career, that I know will also support me. And so with me being inspired by that, I was just like, okay, I'll just do the samples, hold on to that. And then as time went by, I was like, okay, I think, people love my style. People love my opinion when it comes to fashion, If I was to create my own, maybe they would also like it. And, so far, I think they like it a lot.
I think they love it. Yeah, that's incredible. That's so awesome to hear. I think that it's really cool just from, obviously I'm not a fashion designer, but it's awesome to see people like yourself who are maybe in a completely different industry, but just have a real love and appreciation for something artistic and they decide to go for it. And I think it's safe to say that people love your brand and your pieces. So I know that I'm very excited that you made the transition into a designer. So thank you again for sharing stuff, your background with us. And again, we're so happy to have you as part of the Covet family here. I think that's it, everyone. And thank you, Sai, for being a part of this. Thank you, entire art team. We appreciate everyone tuning in.
Thank you guys so much. God bless. I appreciate it.